are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the College League Podcast. I'm Larck, your boy Tank on Twitter, here to talk to y'all today about the latest in Auburn basketball news. We'll get to that in just a second because it is now January 2nd, which means we're 2 days into the new year, which means it's time for some New Year's resolutions. And I have 4 resolutions that I think Auburn football should try to implement going into this new season. Now, transfer portal has closed. Nobody else can enter the portal, so you don't got to worry about that for a couple months now. I think it opens back up after spring practice. So, for the time being, no losses to worry about. You still got some recruiting you can do. Got some visits coming up that I've been hearing about. Jeffrey Emba. I talked about it a little bit last time around. It's so odd to hear a guy who transferred to Auburn I think it was JUCO, came to Auburn, transferred out from Auburn, and then would transfer back. I don't know how often that actually happens where a player transfers out of a school, then transfers back. I think Clemson's done it once, but you rarely hear about that, which I think is really odd. But I'm not opposed to him, but very, very talented player. So, Auburn football, 4 things that I think they should look at and try to fix going into this new year. Starting off, and I think this was a big issue that Auburn dealt with all season long last year, you got to find a singular play caller. For the love of everything in the world, this was such a massive issue last season to where Auburn just couldn't. It'd be Hugh Freeze talking to the media and talking about who was calling the plays and when. Kentucky was all Derek Nix. Sometimes it was Ken Austin. Sometimes it was Hugh Freeze trying to shift the blame to where it could go or where it shouldn't go or whatever. It was an annoying coagulation of words to who the blame would be put on for why the offense didn't look good on what particular Saturday it was. So going into 2025, I am done with the Tower of Babel in the headsets. It is time for either Hugh Freeze to implement his offense and take full control of his offense, calling his plays out of his playbook instead of having other people make those calls. And of course, you can always call plays and ask for, I don't know, not permission because you're the head coach, but advice for a play. You can always do that. I just don't understand the concept of constantly having a play caller by committee thing. It's such a dumb thing to do that I don't think works. It kind of goes into the same thing as a dual quarterback system. They say if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. Well, if you have 3 play callers, you don't have a play caller. It didn't work out very well for Auburn last year. As everyone knows, we are not watching Auburn in the bowl season. We do get to watch Alabama absolutely lose their bowl game, which is absolutely hilarious. And I loved watching every single second of that, of what I could, at least. I didn't get to watch all of it, but I watched the parts that count. It was glorious. It was awesome. Yeah, but 2025, it is time for Hugh Freeze. If you're an offensive mastermind that you say you are, if you're the quarterback whisperer that you claim to be, if you're looking to turn Auburn around very quickly, you got year 3 to do it. And this year, you got to implement your offense. Not Derek Nix's, not Ken Austin's, not whoever else you want to ask to call a play or two going to down on a drive. Hugh Freeze. It's you have the car. It's your keys. You have to drive it. Simple, easy as that. One person needs to be in charge of calling plays. If not Hugh Freeze, hire someone that can take over the offense. No more No more. One play caller. That's it. One play caller is all you need. Now, number 2, something I think Auburn fans can agree with. You lose Peyton Thorne, the eligibility. Holden Gerner went to the transfer portal. Hank Brown, blanking all the quarterback names. Hank Brown went to the transfer portal, and Walker White went to the transfer portal. 2 of those guys have found homes. Iowa for Hank Brown, Baylor for Walker White. I don't think Holden Gerner has located a place yet, but you lose 4 quarterbacks. Quarterbacks was a weak point of your offense. Of course, Peyton Thorne didn't have a bad season, but he didn't have a great season. And it held you back offensively a lot of the times. A lot of plays weren't made that should have been made by a fifth-year quarterback. But going into this season, I talked about a little bit with what Hugh Freeze claims to be a quarterback whisperer. You need to have some competent quarterback play in 2025. You can't have these plays where you got to simplify the offense for your quarterback. The quarterback should have full reign of that entire offense, and they should be able to run it smoothly. I don't want to see this RPO system where the option ends up going to the other team, or you try to pull it when you should have handed it off, and then you try to pass it when you should have ran it, and all this stuff keeps happening. You have a quarterback in Jackson Arnold who wants to play for an RPO system. He wants to play for the Auburn offense. Let him have it. Let him have the offense. And of course, you have Ashton Daniels, who I think is very competent as a quarterback. He made a lot of big-time plays at Stanford. You have guys in this room that can accomplish what you want your team to accomplish moving forward. So I think it's a pretty simple ask, and I say that knowing Auburn is Auburn is Auburn is Auburn, and so on and so forth. But quarterback play has to improve. When you have a coach who, claims to be a quarterback whisperer, you need to have competent quarterback play. You whiffed on year 1 with the transfer quarterback. You whiffed on year 2 with the transfer quarterback. Now you got your guy that you said you want. You got no more excuses. Develop whoever you need to develop over the course of this offseason. You got a spring, you got a summer, you got some weeks of fall, and you don't get a tune-up game to start off with. You got to have your guys ready to go. Quarterbacks are key this season, and it's up to Hugh Freeze to do what he says he can do, and he should be doing it this offseason, getting Auburn some competent quarterback play. Number 3, looking at Auburn's schedule last season, of course, 5-7. Look at some of these losses. You lost by 7. You lost by 10. You lost by 6, 18, 4, 10, and 14. In 2025, you need to turn all those close losses into wins. If you were to take Auburn's 1-score losses and flip them around, Cal gets you 6 wins. Oklahoma gets you 7 wins. Missouri gets you 8 wins. And if you even go to 10-score losses, Arkansas, 9. Vanderbilt gets you 10. Auburn was not as far away as they looked from being a 8+ win team last year. They had these close games. They had these games that they couldn't complete. They couldn't get to the finish line quicker than the other team, but they had the lead for so long of these games. Missouri comes to mind right away. You let Missouri's quarterback, you let Brady Cook get himself admitted to a hospital, get himself checked out of that hospital, and come back and beat you. Your offense could do nothing against Vanderbilt, whose defense was not that great last year. But regardless, you lost 17-7, held Vanderbilt to their lowest point total of the season, and didn't do squat on offense. He scored 7 points off of a miracle from Valdo Fairweather. Oklahoma, you had control of that game completely, and you threw the game away. Arkansas, you took the keys from a quarterback that you said you trusted, and then it was all for naught. Bad first half, turned things back over to Peyton Thorne. and nothing went well for Auburn that game. Cal, don't even start on that game. Now, you see all these games that Alabama even won. They only lost by 2 touchdowns to Alabama, and that's a team that people think should have been a playoff team. I'm not people, but some people, Bama fans, think the Bama was a playoff team. If you can turn all these close losses into wins, you go in the next year. I mean, you got the same conference schedule. You just got to flip the home and away parts of them. You have opportunities to turn those games. I don't think Oklahoma is on an upward trend. I'd be remiss to say that with Brent Venables as their coach. I don't think Missouri is going to be on an upward trend next year. They're losing Luther Burden. I definitely don't think Kentucky's going to be on one. You got that win. I think you can get a win next year. Vanderbilt, I don't know. A&M's going to be a tough one. It's going to be at College Station. Arkansas, I think, is going to be on a downward trend as well. They lost a lot of players to the portal. You have opportunities next season to turn what were close losses in 2024 into wins in 2025. 8 wins is the mark you have to get to if you freeze. 8 wins is very, very manageable for Auburn in 2025, and you have to find ways to get there. You have to coach yourselves to these wins. You cannot play yourself out of a game. Now, lastly, the last New Year's resolution that I have is, of course, you got to beat Alabama. 14-point loss this past year. They had to have a miracle to beat Auburn 2 years prior. The first year, Brian Harsin, it went to like 4 overtimes, and there was a game in between that. Auburn has not beaten Alabama since 2019. That can't happen, especially when you're a program that is as noticeable as Auburn. Auburn is going to go into this year as a Nike school, which is awesome, and I'm super excited to talk more about that. Hopefully, we get some new uniforms added. Bonus resolution. Orange jerseys would be awesome. The white helmet with an orange jersey and the white pants would look awesome. It'd be immaculate. That should be a thing. But yeah, you have to be Alabama. Every year, I rank the top 5 games of the year for Auburn. Number 1 for every season, no matter how good I think Auburn's going to be, no matter how bad I think Auburn's going to be, the number 1 game on every schedule for Auburn is the Iron Bowl. And Auburn's not won it since before this decade started. It's been 5 years. You have got to beat Alabama this season. I don't think Alabama's on an upward trend. I saw the Raleigh Quest Bowl. Jalen Milroe is playing. Their starting quarterback was in the game, and their offense wasn't doing anything. This is the same team that got whooped by Oklahoma. Auburn just didn't play their brand of football and take over the game like Oklahoma found a way to do. Vanderbilt beat Alabama. Tennessee. I mean, of course, I don't think Tennessee's all that great. I picked them to beat Ohio State, but guess what? I was wrong. That team is bad. And that team beat Alabama. I don't see Alabama being on an upward trend going in the next year. Auburn, I see it. And, I fully believe Hugh Freeze has everything possible to be seen as a better coach than Kalen DeBoer. This is the year to prove that. Year 3 of your system, year 3 of your program, year 3 for Hugh Freeze needs to have the Auburn Tigers walk out of Jordan-Hare Stadium with a win over Alabama. That has to happen. You can't have these seasons that just go on and on and on and have these rivals that just have win after win after win on you. It's time for Auburn to take back the Iron Bowl. You're not playing Nick Saban anymore. You're not coaching against Nick Saban. Nick Saban is enjoying College game day. Kalen DeBoer has not proven to be the guy. I don't care what his first-year record was. I was not impressed with Kalen DeBoer. You look at what Nick Saban did in his first year at Alabama. He went 7-6. And he had to rebuild that team from the ashes of what the previous 3 or 4 coaches did. And by year 3, that team was competing for national championships. That team was winning the state of Alabama year after year in recruiting, and they still were. Kalen DeBoer isn't recruiting the state of Alabama. Hugh Freeze is. And this is my thing. I love this graphic, and I love it to death, and I will put it up every single time. Nick Saban, Alabama, would not have allowed this to happen on your screen. This is the top 10 recruits of Alabama. Auburn, of course, got 8 out of the top 10. I think Georgia State got more top 100 top 100 players in the state of Alabama than Alabama did. Top 100. Nick Saban was allowing that to happen. Kalen DeBoer's methods aren't, what's the word I'm looking for here? Retainable throughout the years. I don't see Bama on an upward trend. This is the year to prove that. Auburn should get 8 wins this year. And I'm really thinking one of those wins is going to be against Alabama. I really do. But Auburn has to prove that to me. Week 1 is important. It's a big game in week 1 against Baylor. I'd even say that week 3 game versus South Alabama is a big game. You got to turn these wins to losses, you got to turn these losses to wins. You got to beat your rivals. Now, I can understand it being a little difficult to beat Georgia because, Kirby Smart is, by all accounts, the best coach in college football right now. But when you have an opportunity to do so, you got to beat Alabama. You have to beat Alabama. The class of 2019 was the last graduating class, and not last graduating class, but like that class that came to Auburn was the last team that got to see Auburn beat Alabama. Those kids already graduated. Actually, those kids graduated 2 years ago. They graduated in 2023. And it's 2025 right now, which give or take some months. But still, you got to beat Alabama this season. It is imperative that you do. So that's my New Year's resolutions for the Auburn Tigers going into the 2025 football season. We're going to quick little break. On this break, we got one little news tidbit for Auburn football, and then the remainder of the show will be reserved for previewing Auburn basketball, men's and women's, as they open up the SEC conference schedule. So we will be right back after this break. Are you tired of having to rummage through just clothes after clothes after clothes, looking for something to wear? Are you tired of your friends making fun of you for your terrible fashion sense? Well, do we have the shirt for you? Go to thewarreport.com, get your laptop out and do it right now. Go to the shop and get your very own Feelin' Loopy t-shirt as well as your college loop hat, and you can get both of them for only $25 each. Plus shipping and handling, of course. But with that, now back to your regular scheduled program. And of course, you can find that on thewarreport.com. Go to the shop. First page, college loop hat. Second page, Feelin' Loop t-shirt. Most comfortable clothing items you're ever going to wear in your entire life. Now, buying the merch is a great way to support the show. But the best way to support the show over here at the College Loop is by liking, by commenting, and by subscribing. Leave your comments below. What do you want to see Auburn football do? What do you want to see them accomplish in 2025? And why is it, go 12-0, win the conference championship, win the however many it'd be 1, 2, 3 playoff games on round to national championship, which that would be more in 2026 when that would happen. But still, regardless, you want to see Auburn win. So just leave your specific goals in the comment section below. And don't forget to like and subscribe as you're doing that as well. Shout out all 950 and 41 of you that are currently subscribed to the College Loop as we make our way en route to 1,000 subscribers. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to do to celebrate that. So let me know what y'all want me to do in the comment section below. Now, a little bit of news. Jeremiah Wright has announced that he'll be returning to the Tigers in 2025, which is a great, massive news tidbit to talk about because now you have some guys to solidify your offensive line that you know what they can do. Jeremiah Wright at right guard. You got Dylan Wade returning at left guard, Connor Liu back at center, and now you got your transfers that you need to step. I don't say you need to step up, but you need them to play like they should be playing. Xavier Chaplin at left tackle, Mason Murphy at right tackle. This is a much improved offensive line. Knock on wood. So hopefully it stays that way. I still think Xavier Chaplin is going to be an absolute dog and noticeably upgrade at left tackle from what we saw last season. So Auburn basketball opens up SEC conference play this week, January 4th, Saturday at 3:00 p.m. CST. Your Auburn Tigers, the number 2 team, but the number 1 team in the country, the Auburn Tigers, as I will be calling them for the remainder of the season at least, will take on the 11-2 Missouri Tigers in beautiful Neville Arena. This game will be on SEC Network. Auburn projected to win per ESPN FBI. They have a 93% chance to win this game. And something I've been noticing while trying to do some scouting of Missouri, they have some big wins. Of course, Kansas beating them by 9 points, but they have some losses too. Lost at Memphis in week 1, their first game of the year, 83-75. And 2 weeks ago, they lost to Illinois 80-77. There's some tough losses to try to look past, but that Kansas win is massive for them. Looking at their stats, Mark Mitchell, who for some reason was listed as a guard, averaged 25 minutes a game, 13.8 points per game, averaging 5 rebounds, and leading the team in blocks. Also has a 1.2 steals per game, 1.8 assists. This team gets a lot of steals. This team is averaging 10.3 steals a game. So I think this is going to be a like underrated, very tough matchup for Auburn. Of course, Missouri on the high end, very tough team to play against. Of course, Kansas got to win. So they beat Kansas at home, but traveling Neville Arena is a whole other kind of monster. We think about what Auburn has done during the Bruce era at home. Looking at the minutes per game, you only have do you have 8? We'll see this. Let me math real quick. 9 players who average 15 plus per game. From that, you only got 4 that are averaging double digits per game. After that, it's 9.1, 8.2, and 8.5. Then it drops to the 4s and 2s and 3s and 1s and all that jazz down there. Now, a lot of these guys, for some reason, are listed as guards. I'm looking at ESPN right now, and all of these players on Missouri's team are listed as guards, and I am trying my best to find whatever or whoever is supposed to be playing the 5 or the 4 in this game. Because when I say Mark Mitchell's leading the team in rebounds, it's 5 rebounds per game. Mark Mitchell, 6'9" junior, having a great year. I just don't see that being the big that takes down Janiah Broome and Dylan Cardwell, who both combined. I mean, they had a double each last time we saw the Tigers play. I like the Tigers in this game. I really do. I think it could be. This game is either going to be down to the wire or it's going to be a dominant win for Auburn. I said the Tigers, but that would have been a little confusing. Yeah, I really think Auburn is the best team in the country. I'm not even just saying that because I'm a fan. I truly believe it. And of course, this team is just really, really good. You got some tough losses kind of look past for Missouri. Of course, the Illinois loss just a couple weeks ago holds heavy on my brain right now. And of course, Janai Broom is just the best player in the country. And again, I think Auburn wins this game. I'm looking at, see, Auburn's hit 80 in almost every game this year. What games haven't they hit 80 in? One, two, only two. Two out of 13. Yeah, so I'm gonna go Auburn in this game. I'm gonna say 80, 84, and give Missouri 72. Give a 12-point win for Auburn against Missouri to open up SEC conference play. And of course, after that, we'll be talking about that show. We'll be talking about that game on the Sunday show as well as the next game we're talking about in a second. But after Missouri, you got a tough game versus Texas next Tuesday. So super stoked for Auburn to be traveling to Austin, taking on a newly inaugurated Texas Longhorns into the SEC. Now, Auburn women's basketball also opened up SEC conference play with top 25 Ole Miss in the Neville Arena. This game's a lot harder to scout here for because I'm trying to find any positive outlook for Auburn to win this game. I don't think Auburn is fully healthy, and I don't know when they will be. You're looking at an Ole Miss team whose losses on the year are a 2-point loss to a top 5 team, another a 13-point loss to another top 5 team, and then a 7-point loss to NC State. But other than that, it's been a pretty dominant team all throughout the year. Auburn, on the other hand, they've been struggling to get healthy. And I don't think they are yet. Deona Gaston's been having a great year. Expect her to play very well in this game. But you need players to step up that weren't supposed to be the ones you had to rely on. So I think it's going to be a tough game for Auburn. I don't know what the scores. I'm not going to make a score prediction on this game because I don't know what it's going to be. Ole Miss, they have some shooters. Sierra Thino, I probably said that name completely wrong, is shooting 48% from the 3-point line. You got some scores all around the place. You got 4 double-digit scores for Ole Miss to Auburn's 2. And one of those scores, I don't know if you're going to be able to see tomorrow as this game is getting played. So, yeah, this game will be taking place today at 6 o'clock p.m. CST on SC Network Plus. Ole Miss has gotten a 70.3% chance to win this game. I think the Rebels are going to get the dub over Auburn to open up the SC Conference play. The issue is, health has taken a big chunk out of the chances for Auburn in a lot of these games. I mean, they lost at Norfolk State just a few days ago, like 4 days ago. That's a tough loss to look past. Until Auburn is healthy, it's hard to pick for them. It really is. And I think this team, whenever they're healthy, can do some damage. I don't know what it'd be hard for me not to pick them if they were fully healthy, but I don't think they are quite yet. So right now, I got to go with Ole Miss, which sucks. It really does. But with that being said, thanks for watching some of the College Loop podcast. Of course, I'm always Dylan Larck, on Twitter and at Dylan Larck on Instagram. Check me out on both. Happy New Year to everybody. Of course, welcome to 2025. I'm going to have to prepare myself to write that date down on paper. It always confuses me at first, and then I get it, and then I got to get right back. We're getting ready to 2026. So, of course, don't forget to check us out on social media, on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all of those at The College Loop. Of course, right here on YouTube, we should like, comment, subscribe. Leave your thoughts. What do you think Auburn's main New Year's resolution should be for all sports? Why not? Just do all sports. Baseball, softball, basketball, men's and women's, and, of course, football as well. And don't forget to check out the audio version of the show as well on Spotify Podcast, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music. And now, with all that being said, thanks for watching this installment of the College Loop Podcast. And as always, war Eagle.